Imagine waking tomorrow to find your country split in half. Families choosing sides in a war neither wanted nor expected. Brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. This nightmare became America's brutal reality in 1861, when democracy nearly committed suicide. Abraham Lincoln stares at his weathered reflection in the White House mirror, shadows dancing across gaunt features carved by burden. The weight of 4 million enslaved souls presses against his conscience. One signature will free them or destroy the Union forever. Mary Todd Lincoln grips her husband's sleeve, terror etched in her pale features. She sees what others cannot, the crushing weight already bending his shoulders, the impossible decisions ahead. "They will blame you for everything," she whispers. History proves her prophetic words tragically correct. What is a nation but an idea wrapped in flesh and blood? America in 1861 stood at the crossroads between two incompatible dreams, one built on human bondage, the other on human dignity. Both claimed God's blessing for their cause. In Charleston Harbor, Major Robert Anderson counts his ammunition, 40 rounds per gun, enough for perhaps 2 hours of fighting. Confederate artillery surrounds his fortress like wolves circling wounded prey. He commands the loneliest garrison in America, freedom's last desperate foothold. Economic analysis reveals the brutal mathematics. Cotton production, 4.8 million bales annually. Slave labor value, $3.5 billion. Cost of replacing human property with wage workers, incalculable. Evil calculated in ledgers stained with human tears and Confederate blood. Captain James Hamilton receives orders to fire on Fort Sumter, his hand trembling as he signs the artillery command. His brother serves in the Union garrison across the harbor. Tomorrow they will try to kill each other for causes neither fully understands or embraces. April 12, 1861. 4:30 in the morning. Darkness cloaks Charleston Harbor like a funeral shroud awaiting the dead. Confederate artillery speaks first, 34 guns announcing the death of American innocents. War begins with thunder, ends with tears and graves. You might think Fort Sumter's bombardment killed hundreds of Union soldiers defending freedom's last bastion. Remarkably, not one soldier died in 34 hours of thunderous shelling. The war's first casualty was dignity, not life. Honor would demand far bloodier sacrifices ahead. Sarah Edmonds cuts her hair with trembling hands, binds her chest, transforms into Frank Thompson with scissors and determination burning in her eyes. 400 women will disguise themselves as men during this war. She seeks adventure. History grants her horror. Consider the paradox poisoning America's heart. The nation fights a war about human freedom, using human conscription to fill its ranks. Both sides draft unwilling soldiers to die for willing slaves. Liberty's contradictions multiply like cancer cells, spreading through the Republic's weakening body. Congressman John Logan packs a picnic basket with wine and sandwiches, expecting to watch the Union's brief fever break at Bull Run battlefield. His wife brings opera glasses. His children bring innocent excitement. They flee in terror as reality shatters illusion completely. Bull Run casualty report, filed with bureaucratic precision. Union forces, 460 killed, 1,178 wounded. Confederate forces, 387 killed, 1,582 wounded. The Republic bleeds from both severed arteries, north and south. Susanna runs through Virginia woods toward Union lines, her children clutching her skirts in terror. Behind them, dogs bark and torches flicker. Ahead lies uncertain freedom, possible death. She chooses the unknown over the unbearable, hope over the familiar chains of bondage. America transforms into a house divided against itself with murderous fury, each room fighting the others with increasing violence and hatred. The kitchen wars against the parlor. Bedrooms battle the basement. Only the foundation holds, barely, while the structure tears itself apart. Frederick Douglass paces his study like a caged lion, pen trembling with rage and hope burning in his weathered hands. This former slave sees what white politicians cannot. This war must concern freedom, or 4 million souls remain in bondage. You face Lincoln's impossible choice, tearing his soul apart. Preserve the Union by appeasing slaveholders, or risk destroying it by demanding justice for the oppressed. Choose compromise and betray 4 million enslaved souls. Choose principle and watch the Republic die. January 1st, 1863. Lincoln's hand trembles, not from fear of consequences, but from 3 hours of New Year's handshaking with endless visitors. He signs the Emancipation Proclamation with cramped fingers, freeing 4 million souls with one stroke. History pivots. What transforms a rail splitter into history's moral giant? Not education. Lincoln attended school perhaps 1 year total in his entire life. Not wealth. He knew poverty intimately. Perhaps suffering teaches wisdom that comfort never could. Pain birthing compassion from darkness and despair. Clara Barton abandons her comfortable teaching position, loading medical supplies into a wagon bound for Antietam. Her white dress will soon bloom crimson with soldiers' blood. She chooses healing over safety, service over comfort, becoming an angel in hell's deepest circle. Amputation statistics from Antietam battlefield, recorded with surgical precision. Arms removed, 237. Legs severed, 312. Surgical time per limb, 4 minutes, no anesthesia available. Survival rate, 68%. The brutal mathematics of medical horror, documented in blood-stained field ledgers. Clara Barton moves through Antietam's carnage like an angel walking through hell's deepest circle, her white dress blooming crimson with others' blood. She tends Union and Confederate wounded equally with boundless compassion. In war's terrible equality, suffering recognizes no uniform or allegiance. Robert E. Lee stands in his Arlington mansion's doorway, watching Union troops cross the Potomac River like an invading army. Choose country or Virginia, nation or state loyalty. He chooses Virginia, transforms into America's noblest traitor. Honor turns into his tragic flaw. You think Antietam was won by superior Union strategy and battlefield brilliance? A Confederate messenger dropped Lee's battle plans, wrapped around 3 cigars for safekeeping. A Union soldier found them, changed history. Sometimes wars pivot on tobacco, carelessness, and pure luck. Great men often make terrible choices for beautiful reasons that history struggles to forgive. Lee fights for slavery while hating it. Grant drinks heavily while winning battles. Perhaps contradiction defines human greatness. Angels need no moral struggle. Devils feel no conscience. Edward Everett speaks for 2 hours at Gettysburg, forgotten before finishing his elaborate oration. Lincoln speaks for 2 minutes, remembered forever in American memory. 10 sentences redefine the nation's purpose. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. Rebirth through rhetoric. Gettysburg Casualty Analysis, compiled by Union Medical Corps. Union losses, 3,155 killed, 14,529 wounded. Confederate losses, 3,903 killed, 18,735 wounded. Mathematics of the Republic's bloody salvation. General Louis Armistead places his hat on his sword tip, leading 15,000 men across open ground toward entrenched death. He falls 50 yards from Union lines, calling for his friend, now enemy, with his dying breath. Courage and suicide intertwine like lovers embracing destruction. Pickett's charge transforms into the Republic's cavalry, 15,000 men walking across open ground toward entrenched death with desperate courage. Confederate dreams die in Pennsylvania wheat fields, honor purchasing nothing but graves and glory, sacrifice achieving only sorrow. You witness the war's turning point, not Gettysburg's slaughter, but Lincoln's transformation of its meaning through words. Death transforms into sacrifice, defeat transforms into redemption, cemetery transforms into church for the nation's faith. Language resurrects purpose from carnage, hope from horror, meaning from meaningless suffering. Grant accepts command outside his failed leather goods store in Galena, dreams crumbling around his weathered boots. Yesterday's drunk transforms into tomorrow's savior through war's alchemy. Conflict transforms failure into triumph, obscurity into legend. Sometimes history chooses unlikely heroes for impossible tasks. Total war. What does it mean when civilization abandons restraint? Sherman answers, destroy not just armies, but the will to fight. Break not just bodies, but spirits, not just weapons, but hope. War transforms into psychological surgery, cutting away rebellion's roots with fire. William Sherman's army marches through Georgia 60 miles wide, 300 miles long, a river of destruction flowing toward the sea. Confederate civilians flee as their world burns behind them. Sherman teaches a terrible lesson. War costs everyone. Victory demands sacrifice from all. An enslaved family follows Sherman's army toward freedom, bare feet bleeding on Georgia roads toward uncertain futures. Children carry everything they own in cloth bundles tied with hope. Freedom tastes like dust and hope. Liberty weighs heavier than chains ever did. Future brighter than past. Sherman's March damage assessment, filed with military precision. Railroad track destroyed, 200 miles. Cotton bales burned, 31,000. Property damage, $100 million in Confederate currency. The economic mathematics of rebellion's destruction, calculated precisely in tears and ashes, April 9, 1865. Lee wears his finest uniform to surrender, dignity intact despite crushing defeat. Grant forbids celebration among his victorious troops. The war is over. They are our countrymen again. Character defines victory more than conquest ever could through all history. You see the paradox defining American character. Our bloodiest war produces our greatest mercy and compass scion. Grant allows Lee's soldiers to keep their horses for spring plowing. Yesterday's enemies transform into tomorrow's farmers. Reconciliation begins with practical compassion, healing through kindness. What is forgiveness but strength disguised as weakness by those who misunderstand power? Grant's magnanimity at Appomattox heals wounds that vengeance would have festered for generations. Sometimes mercy demands more courage than war. Peace requires greater heroism than any battle. John Wilkes Booth believes killing Lincoln will revive Confederate hopes like resurrection from death. Instead, he transforms politician into martyr, president into saint through violence. Booth's bullet murders America's best hope for gentle reconstruction, replacing wisdom with vengeance, healing with hatred. The funeral train carries Lincoln's body across America like a mobile cathedral of grief. Millions line the tracks, mourning the Republic's father with tears and flowers. Death transforms the prairie lawyer into eternal symbol, mortality into immortal memory, man into myth. Reconstruction statistics, recorded by federal bureaucrats. Former slaves granted citizenship, 4 million souls. Schools established in the South, 3,000 institutions. Illiteracy rate reduction, 35% improvement. Progress measured in numbers, hope calculated in percentages, freedom quantified in decimal points and statistics. In Pulaski, Tennessee, 6 Confederate veterans meet in a law office, founding the Ku Klux Klan as social club. Evil often begins with ordinary men making extraordinary choices for familiar reasons. Hatred organizes while hope hesitates. Terror spreads while justice sleeps. You think Reconstruction failed completely without lasting achievement? Between 1868 and 1876, 16 black men served in Congress, 600 in state legislatures nationwide. The Republic briefly bloomed before hatred withered its roots again through violence and intimidation. In a smoke-filled Washington hotel room, politicians trade black rights for white power like commodities. The Hayes-Tilden Compromise of 1876 ends Reconstruction, abandons 4 million former slaves to terror. The Republic betrays its own children for political convenience. Progress never moves in straight lines through time. It spirals, sometimes backward, sometimes forward, always struggling against gravity and human nature. America's journey toward justice resembles a drunk man walking uphill, stumbling, falling, rising, continuing despite setbacks, never surrendering the climb. Jim Crow law inventory, documented with legal precision. Separate schools, restaurants, theaters, cemeteries established by state mandate. Literacy tests designed to fail implemented statewide. Poll taxes beyond poor wages instituted. Legal apartheid replaces physical chains. Law turns into slavery's ghost. At Gettysburg's 50th anniversary, Union and Confederate veterans shake hands across the stone wall where they once tried killing each other. Blue and gray uniforms fade, but memories of shared suffering create unexpected brotherhood between former enemies, healing through pain. The Constitution transforms into a sacred text with missing pages, promises written in disappearing ink that fades with time. All men created equal applies to some men, sometimes, some places only. The Republic's holy book requires constant rewriting. Justice demands eternal vigilance. You live in the America that war created, imperfect, struggling, but forever changed by blood and sacrifice. 4 million souls gained freedom. 600,000 died purchasing it. Their sacrifice demands your vigilance. Their memory requires your action and commitment. Martin Luther King stands on Lincoln Memorial steps, declaring, "I have a dream," to thousands gathered for justice. The Civil War's unfinished business continues through different warriors fighting the same fight. The march toward justice never ends. Freedom requires each generation's sacrifice and unwavering commitment. Time heals wounds that seemed mortal, transforms enemies into brothers through shared memory and common humanity. Perhaps America's genius lies not in avoiding conflict, but in surviving it stronger. Not in preventing division, but in healing it through forgiveness and understanding. Lincoln's words echo across centuries. With malice toward none, charity for all, firmness in the right. His better angels still call to us through America's darkness, their voices faint but persistent, reminding us that love conquers hate. Mercy triumphs over vengeance. At Arlington Cemetery, an eternal flame burns above John Kennedy's grave, not far from Lee's former mansion overlooking the Potomac. Yesterday's trader's home transforms into today's hallowed ground for heroes. America transforms pain into purpose, loss into legacy, tragedy into triumph. You inherit their legacy, a republic tested by war, strengthened by sacrifice, committed to freedom's survival. Every generation faces its own civil war, in voting booths, courtrooms, classrooms, hearts. The battlefield moves, the struggle continues. Liberty demands eternal vigilance from citizens. What is America but an eternal experiment in human equality? Freedom's laboratory testing whether people can govern themselves. Each generation writes new chapters, some advancing justice, others retreating from it. The story continues through your choices, votes, and voice in the ongoing experiment. America resembles an unfinished cathedral, each generation adding stones to walls begun by founders, continued by warriors, perfected by citizens like you. The work never ends, the vision never dies, hope never surrenders to despair. Progress continues despite setbacks and opposition. Civil War final count, recorded for history: 620,000 dead, 400,000 wounded, 4 million freed from bondage. Cost: $7.5 billion. Value of freedom gained: immeasurable. The Republic's survival purchased with blood, paid with sacrifice. Thomas Mitchell returns to his Tennessee farm, Confederate uniform faded and torn. His former slaves are gone, his fields burned, his sons buried at Gettysburg. He plants corn where cotton once grew, hope where hatred once flourished, choosing life over bitterness, future over past. Perhaps that's the Republic's miracle, not that it avoids conflict, but that it survives conflict stronger than before. Not that citizens always agree, but that they can disagree without destroying each other. Civil war transforms into civil discourse. Violence transforms into voting. You choose daily between Lincoln's better angels and humanity's demons lurking in every heart. In small decisions, the Republic lives or dies each day. Your choice matters. Your voice counts. Your action continues their unfinished work toward justice, equality, and human dignity. Grass grows over Gettysburg's graves now, nature forgiving what humans struggled to forget through decades of pain. Monuments mark where boys turned into men, men turned into ghosts. The Republic grew stronger through surviving its greatest test of character, unity, and moral purpose. An old soldier's granddaughter asks, "Why did they fight?" He struggles to explain how neighbors turned into enemies, politics turned into war. The Republic nearly died, birthing a more perfect version of itself. Some questions have no easy answers, only painful truths. Time proves Lincoln right. A house divided against itself cannot stand for long without collapse. But houses can be rebuilt stronger than before. Foundations can be reinforced with experience. Walls can shelter more people than architects ever imagined possible. You stand on ground consecrated by their sacrifice, breathing air they died to purify. Their blood purchased your freedom. Their sacrifice enables your choices today. Honor them by choosing wisely, living worthy of their sacrifice, continuing their unfinished work for justice and equality. Memory serves the Republic by preserving truth about the cost of freedom and the price of justice. The Civil War ended, but the Republic's war continues through your choices daily. Their sacrifice transforms into your responsibility. Their legacy transforms into your mission. Their dream transforms into your reality.